And as we progress with our virtual masterclass, I'm very glad now that I have other colleagues speaking from the studio here in Tallinn. And I'm glad to introduce Mr. Siim Alatalu, who is here. Siim is currently the expert at the Estonian Information System Authority and has been in charge of the EU cyber capacity building network since August 2019. Prior to joining the Estonian Information System Authority, Siim worked for 5 years at the NATO Cooperative Cyber Defense Center of Excellence as the head of international relations, where he organized also the Locked Shields Technical Cyber Defense Exercise and the CyCon conference, among other tasks. Between 2001 and 2014, Siim was working for the Estonian Ministry of Defense in various NATO-related positions. In 2008 to 2011, he served as a diplomat at the Estonian delegation to NATO in Brussels. Siim Alatalu is a graduate of the Maxwell School of Syracuse University in International Relations as a Fulbright Fellow, and as he has studied also at the Baltic Defense College. He is currently enrolled in the PhD program at the Tallinn University for Technology. So the floor is yours, Siim.
Well, thank you very much, Heli, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the invitation. It's indeed an honor to address this masterclass. I'm sure I'm not the only one impressed by what we've learned today from this excellent line of speakers. Well, as we've learned today, the past dozen, even more years, we have seen an incredible increase in the global connectivity offered by the internet, and it has provided real-time interaction between our societies, inside the societies, in all areas, almost everywhere. And that has actually encouraged countries to also look into their the issue of national cybersecurity capacity. And well, obviously today, cyber capacity, it's not just about the technology, the bits and bytes, but it's a cross-cutting, multifaceted issue of policy, education, and training, just to name a few. Well, looking at the title of my presentation, it would thus be pertinent to ask, so EU, cyber capacity, a network. What do they mean? What are they good for? And why does it matter for the EU and indeed the other countries outside the EU? Well, as you, Ambassador, mentioned in your opening speech, the different walks related to cyber diplomacy, the masterclass which we are attending today, issues such as norms, confidence building measures, international law, etc., they are all underpinned by cyber capacity. The EU Cyber Capacity Building Network, or EU CyberNet, as we call it, is a new initiative by the European Union, implemented in partnership of the Estonian Information System Authority, RIA, and the European Commission Director General for Development and Cooperation, with support from our international consortium partners. Before explaining the network, I would take a minute to discuss the broader context. On one hand, EU's cyber capacity building as such is a natural outcome of a gradual process of negotiations and agreements. While being a historian originally myself, in this particular storyline, we don't need to go too far back in history. You see a number of documents listed here, or agreements between the European Union's different decision-making bodies, the Council, the Commission, the Parliament, during just the past 7 years. The list is not exhaustive. It doesn't include all the agreements on cybersecurity or development cooperation or digitalization. What the story of the site is, what it represents, however, is that all these issues, they have evolved to become one of the priorities of the Union. Most recently, for instance, the 2020 EU digital package makes this very clear, establishing a clear way forward for the EU in the coming years. On the other hand, one of the reasons why capacity building matters for literally any country around the world is the unprecedented increase in global connectivity, as mentioned. The global number of people grows, that's a fact, but what we see is that the number online grows even faster. I will not go into the number of devices online, which is growing even more fast. Suffice to say that every second person and more on Earth is online. Couple that with the increasing number of state services that are provided online, and you can see the growing potential for increased access to public digital services and financial inclusion. Lastly, it comes down to the growth of economies, welfare for the people, essentially making cyber capacity relevant and required on all levels. As already discussed by Chris Painter, there's a lot happening in this realm. Indeed, the EU does not act alone in cyber capacity building. However, as a values-based union, the EU adheres to a number of principles to guide these activities. The EU has launched a number of projects that deal with cyber issues, such as, for instance, the Glassy Plus or Cyber for Development, to name just a few, that focus specifically on developing areas such as cybersecurity policies, institutional setups, fight against cybercrime, public diplomacy in countries outside the EU. However, with the constant development of technology and the need for new skills, no country or organization can ever be cyber ready. There are a number of often repeating challenges that you see listed here. Note that's not an order of priority or frequency or severity. But I guess the bottom line lesson to take is that absorption capacity, or the very essential challenge of digitalization efforts that don't go hand in hand with cybersecurity considerations, are challenges that are shared quite widely around the world. So what then is the EU CyberNet? EU CyberNet has two purposes. It aims to strengthen the delivery coordination and coherence of EU's efforts in cyber capacity building, as well as reinforce EU's capacity to perform that function. In short, to bring the Union's expertise together. One might ask, so you already have those great projects. Why one more? What is the difference and what is the added value? The added value of EU CyberNet comes by way of reaching out to the actual pool of actual experts, presenting them with the most up-to-date good challenges to have and that the world can offer, and thereby strengthening the Union as well as the partner countries. Here are the 4 deliverables of the EU CyberNet we're currently working on. EU CyberNet will include at least 500 cybersecurity experts representing the different areas that are all cyber, from technology to cyber law, from cyber strategy to responding to incidents. Alongside, we will reach out to institutions to establish a stakeholder community. Secondly, we will offer training and assistance capability in coordination with the other EU cyber capacity projects which are already out there. Thirdly, EU CyberNet would become a knowledge hub for the EU institutions and bodies. And lastly, but not less important, of course, perhaps even most visible to everyone, will be the online technical platform, especially in our modern online times. Will it be relevant to me and my country, you might ask? Well, EU CyberNet, you see on the map, we don't have any geographic limitations. You see on the map are the delegations of the EU around the world. So we strive to work, of course, together to achieve the best in cooperation with the existing EU delegations as well as projects. And of course, we will make sure that we adhere to the cyber capacity building principles that we highlighted before. The stakeholder community is already in the making. On one hand, we will reach out to the expert community EU-wide as soon as possible. But on the other, we will be keen to learn how EU CyberNet can best support you in developing your cyber capacity outside the EU. So before we come to you, and I will conclude this brief, here are a few key takeaways. Let's be frank to ourselves. Achieving cybersecurity capacity is a moving target, and no party can ever be 100% cyber ready today, nor for good. Cyber can and does mean different things, and recognizing this is essential in improving your national or institutional or even personal resilience. Developments will continue to require digitalization, and digitalization needs to go hand in hand with cybersecurity considerations. The EU will remain the biggest development cooperation provider, and the share of cybersecurity-related activities will grow further. It is and will be a priority of the EU, as stressed on the highest levels and as mentioned before. And lastly, EU CyberNet will be at your disposal to discuss the potential for cooperation in the coming years. In closing, thank you very much for your attention. I will be happy to take any questions later on. But meanwhile, here are our contacts, and do not hesitate to use them. Thank you very much.